Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Global Activists Network. This is the first masterclass. My name is Lemona Chanda. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of the Global Activists Network, GAN. And I'll let my partner and introduce herself, Gertrude.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining our very first masterclass. We are very excited to have you here. Just like Lemona said, my name is Gertrude Asumedu, and the other co-founder of Global Activists Network. It's such a privilege to do this, and thank you for registering to join this. And we hope you find this very useful and impactful. Thank you.
So just a little bit of housekeeping points. You will get a chance to ask us questions. Please do share your questions either on the chat or save it. We'll give you time to ask us questions. And everyone who's staying for the session will get a certificate of attendance on this masterclass. And what else? Please do, we are on all the socials. Please do support and join us on our socials. You will be the first to be notified that we are, holding sessions like this one and many other opportunities through our social platforms. And obviously, we are recording today's session, so you will get a chance to revisit everything we discussed today. Okay, so moving on.
Okay. So, just like you know, today's masterclass is on the topic how to create social impact. We could spend probably two or three or more sessions talking about this because there's a lot more to unpack. I mean, we can't do everything in just an hour or an hour and a half, but then we aim to go in depth as much as we can, of course, with your engagement. So this is going to be very interactive. I mean, we've prepared this presentation for you, but then we would save all the questions that you have towards the end so you can put in the chat, and once we are done we can revisit the questions, and obviously you can also come in and ask the questions that you have, and we'll be glad to answer all of them. So this is how our session looks like today. So we'll introduce a bit more about GAN, that's Global Activist Network, and we're going to look at the objectives. So at the end of this session, what would we want you to take away? What do we want you to learn or achieve? And then we'll go on to why should we care? Why should we all care about making an impact? And what does impact look like? Could mean different things for different people. So we'll explore all of that. And also, I mean, at the end of the day, we want to make impact. We are change makers, but we also want to know what is in it for us. So what can we get out of the impacts that we want to make? And also, I mean, if let's say you are looking forward to starting your impact work and you don't know where to go to, also looking at where you can find some of these volunteering opportunities that maybe could be to could get your foot in the door in the first place. And also we'll look at some myths and misconceptions about impact work, social impact work, and of course the next steps, and we're going to conclude our masterclass, well, the presentation bit before we move on to the Q&A. So this is a snapshot of what we will be discussing or what we'll be looking at today. So I do hope you find it useful. So I'll hand it over to Lemona to kickstart.
Sure. So, about us. So, who are we? So, GAN is basically an organization where we are bringing in change makers from all over the world, and who are promoting the sustainable development goals. You can be driving a massive project. You can be just starting out. You can be driving a small local community-based project. If you are a change maker, if your work is impacting the sustainable development goals, you are meant to be one of us. So in very informal words, we are a big family of change makers, and our goal is to amplify your voice and your work as much as possible. It can be through promoting your work through social media, through to organizations by nominating your work for awards, by giving you grants to help with your work. We always come together, we always ask for feedback, we always take your ideas forward to see how we can help you amplify your work. Gertrude?
Um, yeah, so just like Lemona has said, we are a family of change makers. Our sole purpose is to spotlight change makers, to give them a voice, to give them a platform that they're looking for, and to be able to support them with existing resources or resources that we can also like outsource and give them. So we started operations about 2 years ago, so in January 2024. So we celebrated our second year anniversary actually just a few weeks ago on the 10th February, and it's been a journey. It's been an interesting journey because we've been able to reach out. I mean, spotlight almost 100 chain makers. We've been able to engage some chain makers also on our bi-weekly Twitter spaces. And we've also engaged with experts and professionals within the SDG, with SDG focus on our webinars, our monthly webinars. And all of these conversations are on our podcast channel on Spotify and also our YouTube channel. So yeah, we believe in platforming young chain makers' voices, and our goal is to reach as many change makers as possible. So, I mean, we're just 2 years old. So, in the next how many years, as long as possible, we aim to go. And the focus is also grassroots activists. Now, I mean, of course, there are a lot of change makers, like both young, both older, who are doing amazing work, and hopefully or probably they've not gotten that attention, that spotlight that they need. So I mean, going forward, that is something that we really want to focus on, like get into those who have not had that spotlight and who have not had that bigger platform that they're looking for to showcase the amazing work that they're doing. So yeah, our mission and vision is just basically to support chain makers working in difficult circumstances, and that brings me to our Gun Impact Fund that we introduced just last year to support chain makers who are doing work, but important work, but need more funding or more support to scale their impact. So we did first round of applications, call for applications, and that went really well. So we're excited to launch the next cohort very soon, and with the right funding, or should I say, with more support and more funding, we aim to do more of that. So yeah, our platform is more of platforming voices of change makers, giving them the support that they need, especially in this day and age where there is so much work to be done in the world that we are in currently. I mean, most of you would agree with me. And I mean, with the work that needs to be done, the platform, giving them platform is great. Inviting them to speak is great. Doing all that is great. But sometimes you also need to push them, support them with the right funding. And that is what we aim to do more of. So yeah, we're excited to have you join us today. And I do hope if you didn't know a bit more about GAN, I do hope that you know at least a bit about GAN, yeah, moving forward. So, yeah, thank you. I do hope I've covered everything, Lemona. If not,
Yeah, I think we have covered everything for now.
okay. So the objectives for the masterclass. Um, so I mean, ideally, as the topic says, how to create social impact, which is a very big topic, but we would walk you through this journey with our own examples, our own experiences, and hopefully that can resonate with some of you. So by the end of this session or this masterclass, we hope that you'll be able to identify your areas of interest or your area of interest as a chain maker. That can be a bit tough and tricky. It's almost I would say I'll almost equate that to finding your purpose, sort of as a human being. And for some people, they do find it earlier on in life. For some people, it takes a much longer time before they do. And wherever you have gotten to in that journey, I do hope that with our stories at the end of this session, you at least it'll get you to start thinking about what it is that you can do to create some sort of impact in your own community. So yeah, so at the end of this session, we hope that you'd be able to start thinking about what kind of interest, because there's so many SDG areas. We have the SDG goals are 17, and within these 17 goals there are sub goals, there are subcategories. So there's so many areas that you can sort of focus on. But then at the end of the day, if you want to create impact, if you want to create change, it needs to be, you need to find something to relate to whatever impact it is that you want to make. So yeah, I do hope that this session will sort of like get you to start thinking about what it is that makes you tick, what it is that you want to do to sort of like be the change that you want to see in the world, quoting Mahatma Gandhi. And again, by the end of this session, hopefully you'll be able to build and leverage your network for greater impact. Now, chain making work is, I mean, no man is an island. You can do it alone. You need people. I mean, you need people to do this thing called life. And if you want to embark on a change work, or you want to embark on an impact work, you definitely need people within your network or even outside your network. So you need to think about how to tap into those networks to be able to create the impacts that you want to make, and use volunteering as a tool to build experience. Now, this is something that volunteering is something that I would say I can spend hours and hours talking about, because it has been it has been an integral part of my journey as a change maker. So and I mean, in the times that we are in, let's not lie, it's very tough. Like, the world is a very tough place, and you know, if you're a young person and you want to, I mean, you've been to school, you want to, you want to work, and volunteering will not pay bills, it will not give you that money, or you know, the financial independence that you're looking for. But if social, I was when I was talking to Lemona, I think a couple of days ago, I said you can't be a millionaire, you can't be rich if you you want to be in the social impact space. It is what it is. I mean, maybe years later or down the line, but not when you're starting now. It needs to be something that comes from the heart. It needs to be something that you're passionate about. So yeah, by the end of this session, hopefully you can learn how to use volunteering as a useful tool to be able to build experience. And again, I think I've touched on this a bit, but transforming your passion to build towards building an initiative. Now, like I said before, you need to be passionate about whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to maybe end gender-based violence in your community, if you want to maybe get more girls into school, speak about maybe the inequalities in your society, marginalized maybe inequalities that marginalized communities maybe are facing, or some sort of like injustice, whatever it is that you want to do, it needs to be something. And for me, I'll probably touch on this a bit later, but one of the things that inspired me to become a change maker was because I was passionate about education. I mean, I was privileged, or I've been privileged to have been educated by obviously my parents from a younger age. They put me through school to where I am today. So, and I realized the benefits of education because of what it has given me and where I am now. But looking back, I saw that growing up, there were some people within my neighborhood or within my community who didn't have that same privilege. And even though education is a right and not a privilege, but in some communities, it appears that it is a privilege where it's not right. So that's what sort of like propelled me to pursue opportunities, or should I say volunteering opportunities, to be able to help young girls to find a voice, to be able to help young girls to get into school. Like I said, I'll come into that a bit more later, but I was passionate about education, and that's what inspired my journey as a chain maker. So for you, it could be anything. It could be gender-based violence, it could be gender equality, it could be anything at all, health, good health and well-being, speaking about the SDGs. And again, lastly, or last but not the least, creating lasting impact as a change maker. So then again, we're thinking about because impact, sometimes it can take years for the work that you've done to sort of make that impact that you're looking for. And if you want to make an impact, you need to think about what it is you want to do, how you want to do it, the people that you bring on board. That would determine the kind of impact. You don't want to rush through things and just sort of like not make that sort of impact that you're looking for or what you set out to do. So yeah, hopefully by the end of the session, you'll be able to um create lasting impact as a change maker with whatever initiative or whatever passion that you have that you want to pursue. So, yeah, those are our objectives for the session. Okay, so why should we care about making an impact? Now, like I said, in this work or in this social space that we are in social impact space, there's a lot of of areas of interest if it is something that you're passionate about. So I mean, if you're on this call today, I suppose that you are maybe curious or you're already in the space and you want to know more, or you're just starting out and you want to know maybe if this is something for me or not. Now I mean, you don't even have to be a full-time, should I say, activist or advocate. It can be something that you do part-time, so maybe you can have your day job, and then maybe you've realized there's something going wrong in your community, and then maybe you start thinking about, how can I change this, how can I make this better? Do I write to my MP? Do I start maybe what do you call it, like a movement? Do I start my own like NGO to address this problem? So we should all care about making impact. I think it's sort of like should I say, a straightforward answer. We should care because, I mean, we should actually care, because at the end of the day, when you're making impact, you're creating like a ripple effect. So whatever situation that you are addressing, it will just go on to like impact the next generation, and it goes on and on and on. So back to my story, what I was talking about, what inspired me to start out in this space. So I'm from Ghana, and I did all my pre-university education in Ghana. So when I moved to the UK over a decade ago, I mean, when I was almost done with my university education, I did my first degree, my bachelor's in economics, and I knew somewhere in the middle of the degree that I did not want to pursue this as a career. So I didn't want to go and work in any big four or as an economist. I mean, I I sort of enjoyed my degree, don't get me wrong, but I knew that I wanted to do something more, like something different with my life. So as I was nearing my final year, I decided to start just kind of asking myself questions. What am I passionate about? What do I want to spend the rest of my life doing? And I came across certain opportunities like the One Campaign. So for those who don't know, the One Campaign is an advocacy organization based in not only in the UK but in different parts of Europe as well, and also in certain parts of Africa as well. So they run this youth program that known as One Champions, I think, in Africa, but here it's in Europe. It's known as the One Youth Ambassador Program. So I stumbled upon that opportunity, and I would say that was, should I say, my life changing sort of like moments there, because sometimes obviously it takes just one person to give you like an opportunity or say yes to you, or give you like that chance to show what you're made of. So I signed up onto their youth ambassador program, and what drew me to it first of all was the campaign that they were running. So the campaign was poverty sexist. So they were just basically saying that there were over 100 or 200 million girls out of school at the time. And even though it has reduced over the years through like rigorous campaigning and advocacy, I still believe there's still more girls out there, like millions. I mean, the fact that it's millions is even scary, especially for a woman. I mean, I was once a girl and I'm now a woman. So I'm just thinking, like, I put myself in the shoes of these girls and thinking that, what if I was one of them? What if I belonged to that statistic? What would have happened to me? Like, would that have, definitely that would have changed the course of my life, and that would have been very unfair because I wouldn't even be here, like, probably having this conversation with you. So I signed up, I went through the process, and I got selected as one of the youth ambassadors. And that opportunity took me to my MP's doorstep. Now I'd lived in Leeds in the north of England for about about 5 6 years, and I never cared for who my MP was. At the time, I would say I wasn't really someone who is into politics, because we all know politics and how it can be tricky. But because I was a young girl who had obviously had the privilege to be educated, moved to UK, finished my undergrad, and was looking for opportunities to see what I can do to make the world a better place, like what I was passionate about. It took me to my MP's doorstep, and again, through the one campaign, that is the organization that gave me the chance, I was able to then start even learning on the job, because I learned how to lobby, to speak to somebody in power, someone in a political position, because it can be daunting. I mean, going to speak to someone like that. But he was very receptive, very warm. He listened. He actually didn't just stop there by listening. He also went ahead to write about the issue that we discussed, that's getting more funding for girls in developing countries and in the global south. And that to me, like, just made me know that, okay, like, I have something, and I have a voice, because that was the premise of the whole campaign, that we all have a voice. They don't want your money, they don't want like anything else, they just want you to use your voice. And I have the voice. And like I said in the beginning, I have benefited from education so much, and I want to give a young girl a chance to be able to do so. And that same opportunity, or that same program, took me to Brussels, the European Parliament, as well, to also speak to, at the time, UK was still part of the EU. So to speak to some of the members of the European Parliament there, to again still push this campaign, that okay, the young girls like myself who are, in these countries or in this part of the world, and they need increased funding. And I mean, again, the person that I spoke to, maybe I'll say I've also been fortunate to meet MPs, or members of the European Parliament, or political leaders who have been responsive to what I want, or to what I said. So, because don't get me wrong, it's not always like that. You won't always meet people and they'll agree to help you. Sometimes they'll be like, well, this is not part of my constituency's problem. I don't care. So, take it somewhere else. And, they have a point again, but then, because of how resilient and how passionate I am about these things, like, I just want to, like, still just keep on pushing, like, hear my voice. This is what I have to say. So, and that campaign in itself was successful, because at the time, the UK, actually, and even in the European Parliament, they voted for an increase in funding for these girls. And I won't bore you with other, because there are so many other examples that I can use of the subsequent campaigns that I was involved in, like climate action, and a whole lot. So we should all care about making an impact, because using your voice, using your limited resources, whether it's writing a blog, I mean, I think we'll come back to this, we'll come to this shortly, about what creating an impact, or what making an impact looks like. But we should care, because I mean, even apart from achieving the SDGs by 2030, which is just 4 years away, and ideally we may not even get there, but it just shows that we're human. It just shows that we care about people more than ourselves. It just shows that we care about our planet. It just shows that we want to leave the world a better place than we met it. So yeah, in a nutshell, we should care, because we are improving lives by using our voice. We are changing lives even without us knowing, most of the time. Because if I am here campaigning for increase in funding, so that young girls in developing countries can get access to education, I'm making an impact. I am changing a life, and through my voice, somebody a young girl who would have probably been married off at maybe 15 or 16, they would have the opportunity to go to school, to pursue an education, to pursue a vocational course, something that obviously they can use to build their lives, to empower their communities and their societies. So that is one thing that obviously gives me or satisfaction of the impact work that I am doing, or I did from the beginning. And so yeah, back to the point here. So it's just to help us to it helps us to contribute towards improving lives, like I've explained, and also contributing or promoting the SDGs by 2030, and also to be the change we want to see through action and innovation. Because the thing is, there's so many things in our society that needs fixing. Wherever you are, it doesn't matter which part of the world that you're joining this call from. If you look, sometimes you don't even need to look deeply. If you look around you, you see that there's so many things that needs to be changed. And in as much as, yeah, we've elected leaders, we've elected council leaders, presidents, ministers, and what have you to represent us, to be at the forefront in pushing change, or to creating impact, to making those like sort of visible changes in our community. Most of the time, you can't fully rely on the government. You can't fully rely on the people that you voted in power. And so within your power, if maybe they pass a bill or a law that doesn't sit well with you, do you just sit there and say, oh yeah, I mean, it's the government, like they do whatever they want? No, because the Nelson Mandelas and all the people that we admire, I don't think they would have been. I mean, it's not about popularity, but I'm just trying to say that I don't think their legacy will still that be existing today if they just sat there in the face of injustice, or in the face of things not going well, and just kept quiet. So at the end of the day, whatever it is that you've identified or you're seeing that is within your communities, in your neighborhood, and you don't have to. I think sometimes when we talk about impact, people are looking at, oh, big, like something that's big or something that's massive. It can start from like around you, like I said, looking around you, like, okay, what can I do? Is it maybe something about sanitation? Is it about maybe something about a bill or a law that has been passed that is maybe infringing upon human rights of a certain marginalized group in my community? Is it about maybe young girls that are out of school, and everything, like, nobody's challenging it, or nobody's talking about it? Is it about child marriages or child brides? Like, what is it that is in your community that is sort of like not making sense? Because if you look, like I said, if you look deep, or sometimes you don't even have to look deep, you would know that there is a problem. And so far as you've identified or you thought about it that it is a problem, then if you're waiting and you're waiting looking for somebody to fix it, well, you're also somebody. So you can also start doing something in your own right. You'll be starting a blog post. Like I said, we'll come to this, so I don't want to give it away. Could be doing just anything like in your own way. You don't have to have millions and thousands of pounds to be able to start making an impact. In fact, if you speak to most change makers, or most people who have made an impact in the society, they mostly started from something very small, like writing a blog post, going to see someone, collaborating with someone to start an initiative, and then little by little they build something. It reminds me of these group of people, young guys in Ghana. They are called the Bastard Boys. So I think a couple of years ago they realized that we had a sanitation problem in Ghana, in Accra. That's the capital of Ghana, to be precise. So instead of, I mean, growing up, I've always had an issue with people. I've sat in public transports known as the trotro in Ghana, and people drink like sachets of water, and instead of keeping, they throw it away on the street. People just like, you just litter without thinking about the consequences. And when there is flood and the gutters are choked, then they turn around and blame the government. So these boys saw that there's a sanitation problem in Ghana, and instead of waiting for who, I mean, there's actually a body responsible for keeping the city clean, but obviously someone is not doing their job well or doing their job right. So instead of writing, or just say thinking about, oh, blaming the government, they just put themselves together, and then they started cleaning. And then now they've gotten more attention, support, and I think they probably also got some support from the government as well. So this is an example of how they didn't wait to probably for the government to start, or they didn't join the bandwagon of everyone else to complain, but they actually took matters into their hands, and they created the change that they wanted to see. And just ties in nicely to the last point, to be the beacon of hope and inspiration in our communities, and proliferate trust and reputation. I mean, that once you start doing whatever change work it is you're doing, I mean, I've had people virtually, people come into my DM, send me connection requests, and said, oh, like, I really like the work that you're doing. Even before we started GAN, I really like the work you're doing. You're an inspiration. Like, you've done so much. You've done so well. Actually, end of 2024, that's a little over a year ago, I decided to end the volunteering activity, because I've volunteered consistently. I had volunteered consistently for about 7 years, since 2017 till the end of 2024. So about 8 years. And it has taken me to places with my co-founder, Lemona. We were both selected to attend goalkeepers about in 2023 September, about the Gate Foundation. And that is as a result of the impact work that we've been doing for years. and among other things. So I've had people come to me, people that I don't know, have never met before, like they admire the work that I'm doing, the impact work. I'm an inspiration. I inspire them and all sorts. And sometimes they want, like, answers, or they want some sort of motivation on how they can start. And probably maybe this is the reason why we are on this call having this session today. So once you start whatever change work it is that you're passionate about, that you want to do, you're also inspiring someone, behind you, someone who may be watching you, to also take the first step. Because sometimes people want to do it, but maybe they're scared, or they have all sorts of butterflies in their stomach, and they don't know what to do. So if you do it, then maybe they can come to you and say, oh, how did you do it? How can I do this? How was your journey? And they start asking the question. When they do, they also inspire someone. So you see, like, it goes on and on and on. So yeah, in a nutshell, we should all care about impact, making an impact, because that is how we inspire generations. That is how we create the impact that we're looking for. We be the change that we want to see in the world, and ultimately also achieve the sustainable development goals by 2030 and even beyond, and create the world that we want to live in. Thank you.
Perfect. So moving on, I will cover what does impact look like. And, we keep seeing the sustainable development goals. I'm sure that some of you might have heard about Agenda 2030. But I mean, go ahead, have a look in Google. What are the sustainable development goals, or what is Agenda 2030? But to understand in very simple terms, I will say that if you do anything that helps your life, your family's life, your community's life, it is a sustainable project, and it will somehow relate to one of the SDGs or Agenda 2030. Now, on the screen, you see some of the examples that we have identified about social impact. Like, you can have conversations, you can do volunteering, both online and in person. And then there are formal structures of volunteering, and then there are informal structures of volunteering, whichever suits your position. If there is a campaign or a social cause that really resonates with your thinking, then you can be part of that. Or you can come up with a campaign, and design your own campaign. If you think that there is a challenge or an issue that you are facing or your community is facing, you can write about it. You can write an article, get it published, write it as a blog. That is also a social impact. Then you can do something like Gertrude and I started, like the Global Activists Network. It's an initiative. You can start your own initiative, you can start your own organization. And then also you can partner up with other organizations or other individuals with whom you can share your views. Now, I will say some things that I found really helped me identify or understand what I really wanted to do. First of all, I always think about what I'm doing. Is it going to make a real impact? Uh, you will meet people, you will come across projects that might look very impressive at the outset, but in reality, it doesn't really change lives. Now, I believe in an African proverb. It says, each one teach one. And I think we all should do that. Even if we can change one life in our lives, that's one of the greatest impact that you can ever have. And obviously, I mean that in a positive way. Secondly, I will say that one of the assets or one of the privileges we all have, or we are born with and we gather through our life, is our lived experiences. Many of us come from countries where there's a lot of issues, and you have seen it. Maybe you're living through it, so you know best how it impacts a person. So utilize that lived experience, utilize it to your favor, because when you move forward and when you are just not a change maker, you're getting known for your work, something that will stay with you is your credibility. What do you actually mean? Who do you represent? The genuineness of your work. And I think that's something we should always care about and not give in to big organizations, big campaigns, big funding, and all that. Those are very glamorous and it's great to have them. But even greater is when you have truth and genuineness towards your work and the people you're working with. So now the other thing that I would like to say is um my mind just completely went blank. So have your authenticity to your work, and that will give you ideas. Now, one of the ways that I started my journey was I was born in Bangladesh, and religious minorities, women who belong to religious minorities in Bangladesh, are not allowed to inherit property from their father's estate or from their husbands. Now, me being a minority, I'm already financially vulnerable. I I in South Asia, women or girls are not the preferred child. People prefer boys over girls. So when a lot of this, opportunities, questions of opportunity arise, the boy child is preferred. So that I felt very, very unsettled. I felt that it was very unjust. And I felt that I'm one of the privileged ones because I had the opportunity to travel out of my country, have education abroad, and have a life that, where I could earn and live my own living. But for the rest of the women who belong to my community, they're not able to do it. They're destitute. So that kept me sleepless. Now apply this in your life and think what keeps you sleepless at night. And then just voice that out. If you look at the options that we have listed on the screen, each of these options can be extended to any length. These, we just thought of some great, easy examples. But if you feel that you have an idea and you would like to discuss it with us at GAN, we are more than happy to guide you, go through your ideas, and come and solidify how you can take your steps forward. So, impact can be very small, it can be a medium level impact, and it can be massive. It doesn't matter. What matters is it creating genuine impact on the ground to the lives around you? And is it authentic? So I would say that, as you think about it, because we're pitching our presentation to you all, thinking that you want to do something, think about what I'm saying. Also, you have to be sustainable. As much as this is a voluntary world, as much as there is no money in it, but you always have to sustain to keep going with your work. So be strategic. Always look at some of the examples of what others have done in their lives. If you don't know them, ask them. If any of you email me or reach out to me on one of my profiles and ask me, I'm very interested, I'm not going to say no to you. Or the worst thing that I can say is no, I don't want to share my information, which I obviously won't. I will share my ideas with you. But rarely people say no. So take ideas from others and see what fits good in your capacity and just start with that journey. So moving on, uh, we'll
Um,
cover what's in it for me, Gertrude.
yeah, I'll thanks for Lemona. And I also say don't despise small beginnings. I mean, in this day and age of social media, I mean, I'm sure we all have chain makers or activists or people in this field who have built their brand or they are invited to, should I say, all these high level meetings and all that, and it looks nice to be invited into these rooms where important decisions are made. um Someone said something, or I once said, saw this quote somewhere: do not look at if you are chapter 1 and as someone is at chapter 14, don't look at that person's life and be comparing yourself to that person. At the end of the day, you need to understand that whatever it is, or whichever area it is that you want to pursue your change work or your impact work, just just appreciate that stage that you're in, because I believe that every stage has something to teach you. If you obviously, like, you're looking at someone, it's okay to be inspired by someone, how far they've come and what you're doing. That's great, because you can learn lessons. You don't even have to meet them in person, like by following their socials, like putting out their work. You can see maybe their journey, where they went to, and like just follow, like maybe through their journey, and get inspired by it. But obviously don't use that as like sort of like a yardstick, or don't use that as a standard, like for where you should also be. Because the reason why I'm touching on this is because obviously in this day and age of social media, it's very easy to compare yourself. And again, if you are really passionate about what you're doing, even if, like, let's say it's on a small scale, you should be proud of like the work that you're putting in. And obviously, like, you're building on from like where you are, and you're building with the experience that you get as you go on, and the skills that obviously you already possess. So it's just being mindful of the comparison game. It's everywhere, even, yeah, in the social impact space, it is everywhere, because people see all these, oh, she's been invited to goalkeepers, oh, she's been invited to here, she's been invited to here. But she also started, or she also started out as you. And obviously, like, with the impact that they've been able to create with their work, then it felt right for them to be at where they are now. And yeah, I think that's all I wanted to add. But there's so much in it for you. Like, if you obviously, like, decide this is the path for you, if you've identified that area that you want to pursue as a change maker, and then, yeah, just be very mindful of like how you approach it, like um that, in especially with that comparison game. So just wanted to touch on that.
And so I'll just add to what Gertrude has just covered. When I was looking for jobs, I graduated from university. I started volunteering way before, and I was volunteering for anything that I can get. I was tutoring a child. I applied for research assistant roles, which is very heavy with biology and subjects that I did not enjoy much. I was volunteering at hospitals. Once again, I didn't like being in that kind of a setting. And I was also volunteering for many other things that I enjoyed. And when I graduated, what helped me were those volunteering opportunities, because everyone wants someone with experience. And when I couldn't get paid experiences, those unpaid experiences really helped me get jobs. So that's also to keep in mind, that it does help your CV and your profile a lot.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, like, when I started out 2017, and I started with the one campaign, and from that I done other work, some work with UNDP, UNICEF, Amnesty, Wrestler Development, and other organizations that don't come to mind right now. And all through all that, I was just building the experience, gathering the skills, widening my network, people, because I've met people along my journey, and they're those people are still like in my life today, and they're relevant to even what we are doing with GAN. When we started GAN in 2024, most of the people that came on our Twitter spaces were people from my network and Lemona's network. And I mean, even till today, most of the people that some, because for now, or currently, we give out like or we post on our socials, call for webinar speakers, call for Twitter space speakers, and all that. But when we started, it was just the people that were in some of the youth programs, some of the youth networks, that are some of the people that I've met, they were the ones that we invited, and they gladly said, "Oh, of course," and then they came. So I mean, whilst you're pouring, like, just yourself out to some of these, because people think volunteering, or doing impact work, is a waste of time, especially when you're not seeing the benefits. But it's like, you planted a seed, you don't expect to have a harvest in a week or two after you've planted the seed. That's impossible. Everything, including even this space, everything takes time, and you need to be as passionate about it as just think about like how passionate can you be about this. You need to be invested in it. You need to believe in what you're doing, because if you're not believing in it, then who should? And then whilst you're doing that, also be looking out for obviously who can support me as well. I've met people, like I said, who are still in my network, but people that so that, oh, this person will be a good person for this, and this person will be maybe be able to support me in this. And then when GAN started, just reach out to people, or do you mind, or do you want to speak on our webinar? Do you want to be part of this? Can you advise on this? And it's all the people that like I have met along the way in my impact making journey. So yeah, just wanted to add that.
Okay, moving on. So where to look for volunteering opportunities? Basically, what we did here is that we identified 5 different types of opportunities. I've mentioned before that there can be formal opportunities and there can be informal opportunities. And then if you look into those two categories, then these are the subcategories, like 5 ways, I guess, you can look for opportunities. So there can be local opportunities. There can be a local council or a community center, or even a lot of the time, local churches are good places, or religious places, places of worship are good places where you can, have opportunities, and or you can meet people or even discuss an idea where you will meet like-minded people who wants to create a positive impact in their community. So thinking about local issues, if you see that there's a lot of waste gathering in your local community, managing that waste, raising awareness of not littering, something as simple as that can initiate a project. So always think about, it's always good to think about what's happening locally, what can we do, and what are the opportunities. Then virtually, the reason virtual opportunities are a gold mine, I would say, is because you have the option of not only volunteering locally or being part of projects that are local, you can be part of something that's national, you can be part of something that's international. So it's limitless. Now, the challenge is finding it. You can start with social media groups, pages on, the social media platforms. You will come across many different projects where that you can be part of if you want to be part of those projects virtually. Then the second thing is, Gertrude mentioned some of the organizations like One. Now you can check out One's website and see if One is offering something for wherever you are based. Sometimes organizations will ask you to do things online and submit it to them, or it can be something completely different, but they might have virtual opportunities. If One doesn't have any opportunities, why don't you go online and search, list organizations that are like One, but based in Africa, but based in India, but based in Brazil. And that will give you a list of organizations or projects that you can check out and see if there's any opportunities nationally. There are civil society organizations, there are charities, there are organizations like Red Cross is almost everywhere. It's just an example, but there are organizations that run national campaigns, national work, national level advocacy that you can be part of. And when you get involved at the national level, people start noticing you. Politicians, policymakers, they start noticing that, okay, this young boy, this young girl is, doing good work. Maybe we should give them a chance. You never know what kind of an opportunity will come from where. And also, um, one aspect is that doors open when you are part of national projects. And at the same time, you are able to think about more and you have a more, I guess, bargaining or negotiation power. Because when you are volunteering and when you have sort of developed an idea of what are the issues that you want to raise awareness of, then you can go somewhere and speak about it Most countries encourage youth to speak about challenges. And also, if you are in youth, I mean, irrespective of whether you want or not, but I'm assuming that most of you are, you should be putting your voices forward. You should be saying, you know what? You have had your chance. It's now our turn because we're the biggest percentage of population globally. Our voice matters the most. And you take the stage, you own the stage at the national level because no one knows the issues more than you. You are living it day in, day out. So, one thing is to look for opportunities, and the other thing is to be conscious of your power, of your story. Then the other option is looking for opportunities internationally, very similar to national level opportunities. I mean, the United Nations, every single UN agency will have some form of volunteering opportunity. Look for their websites. There are even opportunities that are voluntary, but that will give you minimal remuneration. So apply for those when you have some experience on your CV. And if you are lucky to speak more than one language, then highlight those, apply for those opportunities. If you're lucky to get into one of the programs, very good. If not, keep looking, keep applying. There are many international organizations that will give you, great opportunities. Gertrude mentioned one, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They honor changemakers every year. There are very similar organizations all over the world. Now, say if you are from Africa, look at African Union and see how you can get involved. If your country is one of the Commonwealth countries, look at Commonwealth agencies. And I know that there's a Commonwealth agency, Commonwealth Youth Network or something on that line, that they hold elections where youth are elected and they're able to add their voice to the work Commonwealth does. And they will remunerate you for international travel, for meetings, for very high profile multi-stakeholder events. You get to travel for free. You get to network. You get to be visible. So utilize where you are based. If you're based in, if you're based in South Asia, there are South Asian um, regional clubs. So because we are based in the West, and I know that UK is part of the G7, sometimes I advise the G7. UK is also part of the G20. Sometimes I advise the G20. And all these things I do as an advisor on a voluntary basis just because of my past experiences. And you can do the same. It doesn't require a PhD for you to explore these kind of opportunities. Look at BRICS. Look at Quad. These are the country level clubs out there that want civil society engagement, that want people's voices and ideas. So always keep your mind open. If you see that, oh, Lemona is doing something interesting, let me see if I can do the same thing. Very good. Go for them. Look at people's work, who inspires you. Look at the organizations that they were part of. Doesn't matter if it's local or national or international. Start somewhere and always keep your eyes open to what are the other. And very similar is cross-border. I mean, cross-border can be virtual or international, but there might be organizations based in the country where you are, and I might not be aware of it. You go for those opportunities. Sometimes there are programs. So, for instance, a leadership program, you might have led a social impact project in your local church. And there's a leadership program that will enhance the work you are doing or your networking. Apply for those opportunities. There are many, many programs like that. And if there's a particular area that you are interested in where you would like to find more opportunities, and you would like to discuss it with us, feel free to reach out. Um, See, there are endless opportunities when it comes to local opportunities, virtual, national, international, cross-border. It's not due to time restraints. It's not possible for us to list all of them. But if you have an idea of an area where you're interested in, we can definitely come up with some examples. We can definitely brainstorm, do some research, and suggest some ideas for you to go ahead. We have Personally, both Gertrude and I have been part of organizations and of opportunities, so we can utilize both of our knowledge base to help you move forward. But these are some points for you to keep in your mind while you're planning your activities.
Yeah, and just to add on that, thanks, Lemona. So, social media groups or pages, or even social media platforms, can be a constructive tool when it comes to this area if you wanted to, because I mean, obviously, there's a lot of distraction on social media. So, if you are looking for opportunities on social media, you need to be very strategic. Now, when I was starting out on mine, apart from obviously doing random Google search looking for like opportunities. And a very key social media page that really, and I think they still do that, is Opportunity Desk. So I believe they are active on Facebook, and I think they are also on other social media platforms. But I did discover them on Facebook, and I think there was is it youth opportunities as well. So Opportunity Desk was really a useful tool for me because they were always posting youth programs, grants, even scholarships if you want to obviously study abroad, masters, PhD. Like they are they are all for the youth. So if you're on Facebook, just search them. I think they're also on Instagram, LinkedIn as well. Opportunity Desk, they're really like a useful tool. And UN volunteers, I use them a lot online. UN online volunteers, so they have the online version where you can volunteer with or do impact work with an organization based in whichever country, like different lots of countries all over the world. Or there's also the UN volunteers program where they you go to you're actually at the station of the country that you're posted to, and I think they give you a stipend. I did not engage in that. I did the UN online volunteers, which was more, should I say, it was more relevant to what I was looking for at the point, because instead of traveling all the way to whichever country is, whether it's South America, whether it's in wherever in Africa or even in Europe, to do that impact work that I wanted to do, I could just sit in the comfort of my home, and with my laptop and internet access, I was writing reports, drafting articles, reviewing grants application, like just doing different work. And that's what I did with UNDP Asia, and with also some organizations in Cameroon and in some African countries. And I gained experience from doing that. So you don't have to spend money to travel wherever to be able to do important work. You can, once you have a laptop and internet access, you can do it. And hey, if obviously that is also not feasible, you can always start looking around your local community. If you have a maybe some local council like board, and maybe they post like volunteering opportunities, or again, you can sort of like start creating your own thing in your local community. Like maybe sometimes most people will say, I started with my friend. I think there was this chain maker that I spoke to on one of our bi-weekly Twitter spaces, and they started their initiative with her friend. So she and I think a couple of friends came together, and they started helping I think young girls or young people who were out of school, who were falling, should I say, in the hands of drug addiction and teenage pregnancies and all that. They just put their monies together. They started putting them through school, and then little by little, bit by bit, they started getting funding, and then she registered it and made it an actual organization. So, I mean, if education is your passion, that could be something we're thinking about. What can I do? It may not necessarily involve money, like we've explored before. It could be writing about something, like posting it on your socials. If you have a blog, I do have a blog, so I write sometimes about social issues. Some of the campaigns that I've done, I've written about them. When I met my MP, I wrote about it. When I met the current finance minister in the UK, that's Rachel Reeves. At the time, she's still the least West MP. I was her constituent. So I went to see her about a climate action campaign that I was involved in with Christian Aid at the time. So when I went to see her, I took a picture, and I wrote about my experience involved in the campaign, and also meeting her. So I mean, there are, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but there are opportunities out there. It's just, I think, a matter of you identify which of them sort of resonate with your area of interest or your impact, the impact that you want to make, or your passion, and just pursue it aggressively. Because at the end of the day, you know, with everything that we've said so far, you cannot you need to obviously do the work. Opportunities can be presented to you, it can be like laid in, like in front of you at your doorstep, but if you don't take that like action, if you don't take that step, there is no way you can get whatever it is that you want to do done. So just bearing in mind that whether it's impact, or whether whatever it is that, I mean, let's even digress, whatever it is that you want to do or you want to get out of your life, you need to take a step. So because it's not going to be handed to you on a silver platter. And there's something that Lemona said, like if you do apply for, because volunteering opportunities even are competitive. When I when I applied for the one youth ambassador program, the first time I was rejected, and I did again and I was accepted. So just like job applications and, you know, all that, don't just if you're that passionate about, because I really wanted this one youth ambassador thing, because I felt like, you know, it was something that was going to add value to me, and as if I knew it did add value to me, and it did set the tone for the rest of my chain maker journey. So if you apply for something and it doesn't go through the first time, don't get, you know, don't get upset about. I mean, you can obviously, rejection is not a nice thing. Nobody feels good about it. You say, oh, like, you know, even volunteering and being rejected, like really. Well, I
I
mean,
mean, we all get rejected. You can't help it. It will happen.
yeah, it
The
will
more
happen.
comfortable you get, the better, and grow
Mhm.
a thick skin.
Yeah, definitely grow a thick skin, and like, yeah, just keep on moving, because you know what you want. And yeah, if there's any like the youth opportunities and the opportunity that I mentioned, always be on the lookout. Don't just, I mean, if follow the page, like them, that would help. And even with that, because in Facebook sometimes your feed gets all jumbled up, so maybe take some few minutes a day and go through their page on a daily basis and see what opportunities that they posted, and if any of them applies to you, do apply, because I have found very good opportunities on there. Even when I was in university, this is just like sort of to buttress my point. Even when I was in university, I once found a scholarship opportunity on, because the thing is, a lot of, you see, I don't know if how many of you do this, but you see someone and maybe their emails, like you have like maybe thousands of unread emails, and I'm like,
Mm.
wait, what? One thing that I learned earlier, one of my lecturers told me earlier in university, was to always read my emails. Always read your emails, always check your emails. And there was something called Blackboard, or virtual learning environment, VLE, in my university. There were always opportunities being posted. But if you're those kind of people that you don't read, you don't have time, you miss out on a lot. So just to cut long story short, there was a scholarship opportunity that was introduced. It was in other departments, in other faculties, but it was being introduced for the first time in my faculty. It was a research and leadership scholarship, and I saw it. I went through the requirement, and I felt like, oh my god, like I'm not gonna get this, because they were asking for too much. And this brings me back to something that someone said to me, like, even sometimes, even if you feel you don't qualify for something, just give it a go, because what's the worst that could happen? They will say no. At least you tried, right? At least you gave it. But if you don't try, you would never know. Because this, just like the one campaign, youth ambassador program, set the tone for my chain maker journey. This scholarship opportunity that I got, the and that's the thing about some of these things, the criteria, the things that they said I was going to do, a presentation and this and that, I didn't do any of that presentation. The only thing I did was I had a chat with, I think, the assistant dean, or one of the deans in the business school. And it was a Friday, it was a 10 minutes conversation. And there and then she was like, congratulations, you've got in it. And I was like, what? Just like that? Like, because normally if you do an interview, they'll ask you to, you know, we are still talking to other candidates. We'll get back to you in some couple of weeks time, or they'll give you a date. But then like, I got the scholarship opportunity, and that opportunity changed the course of my the rest of my stay in university in a good way, because it gave me so many other opportunities. And I'm just thinking about it. I reflected on that years later, that what if I hadn't applied? What if I hadn't even checked that platform? what if I wasn't like, proactive? I had to like, put in the work. I had to contact my personal tutor to say, can you do this reference form or this recommendation form for me? And all this comes with being audacious, being bold sometimes. Like, don't, just because maybe you see something doesn't mean, and maybe they're asking for too much, just give it a go. And always, if you're actively looking for opportunities to create impact, to make impact, always be on the lookout on some of these pages, some of these platforms. And yeah, just keep on going. Just start from one, two, and get someone to check your applications. And yeah, just keep it
Very
going. And
quickly, I will add because Gertrude mentioned some very good points there. Very quickly, I will add that if it's a development thing that you're thinking of, then all the big universities like Harvard, MIT, Stanford, they offer free certificates online. So if you want to enhance your skills, do them. And add them on your CV. That adds to your profile. And the other thing that I mentioned to forgot to mention is um, use social media like YouTube, TikTok. If you are funny, you can use your comedy as a tool to raise social awareness. And, who knows, you might be the next viral thing. So, that's also a way of creating social impact. So you utilize social media if you think that that resonates with your personality and you enjoy that kind of work.
yeah.
Okay, so moving on, myths and misconceptions.
Okay. So I think we may have touched on this while bits and bits on this whilst we were running through, but we'll still go back to it anyway. So that you need a lot of funding, a lot of money, resources to get started. No, you don't. I think one of the best skills or attitudes that you can have in life is being bold. Just being
Good.
bold and saying that what's the worst that could happen.
Mm,
Like, really, there are people, I mean, even if you go into the business world and you interview some of these, top businessmen or entrepreneurs, some of them, they probably got successful, or their is their was their 10th or 15th or 20th idea or initiative that finally made it. So if so back to what I was saying, you may think that you need like a lot of funding or resources like to get started. So sometimes you just need to be bold, you just need to be audacious, you just need to say that, okay, this is what I've identified as my passion, and this is the kind of impact that I want to make. So like, let's just get started. Like, who do I have in my immediate like network to help me? Is it a friend? Is it a parent? Is it a sibling? Is it a church? Is it like a community group that I'm part of? And then you start having these conversations, start reaching out, and then you see where that takes you. And even if you fail, or even if it doesn't work out, at least you've learned something. You've learned you've developed certain skills. It's an experience that you can talk about, that maybe when I was 18, when I was in high school, when I was in secondary school, when I was in university, I started this initiative with a couple of friends. We did this, we were able to, achieve this, we impacted this number of people, but maybe due to so and so reason. Yes, maybe due to, maybe if you had funding or more funding, or if you had, some sort of like injection of money, you could have maybe be able to sustain yourself. You could have been able to reach more out to more people. But then the point is that you didn't wait till you had funding. You still were able to bring people together. You still were able to identify something that needed to be fixed, and you still did it anyway. So even though, yeah, it may have failed, a lot of people do fail, but then they don't give up. They still, you know, I mean, they still sort of gather the experience that they've had, and they move on to the next. And the only difference, or the difference, is that now they're not starting from scratch. They're starting with experience, or from experience. So that could be, that's also another myth or misconception about impact work or creating impact, that you need a lot of funding and you need a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, money or funding can make it easier for you, can
mm,
be able to, can make it possible for you, or can let you or allow you to increase the impact, scale impact, but then it is not the starting point that you need like money to be able to make impact. It can be a useful tool, but it shouldn't be like the baseline that, oh, because I don't have money, I can't start, I can't make an impact, or I can't do anything. And Then again, that volunteering doesn't create real impact. It does, because I mean, like I said, I've added my voice to campaigns here in the UK, and most of these campaigns that I did, I added my voice to had a global like reach or impact, because we're advocating for young girls to get into school in developing countries in the global south, and I am from a developing country, so I am aware of the inequalities that exist there when it comes to education, and also the ripple effects, because in some cultures or in some communities, when girls are told that there are places in the kitchen, and what's the point of going to school, you still get married off anyway, have children, take care of your family, so there's no point of a girl child being in school. So being able to volunteer with the one campaign means that I'm be able to use my voice. I mean, I don't have to be a celebrity to be able to use my voice, because if I'm signing a petition, if I'm adding my signature to yeah, a petition, whatever it is, I am saying that I've seen this as a problem, I've seen this as impacting other people, and I want to, fix it. I want to make a difference, and that's exactly what I did. So with the volunteering experiences that I've gathered along the way, it has made an impact, and sometimes not the impact that I wanted, because I think somewhere in 2022 there was a global fund campaign, and global fund campaign is geared towards ending TB, HIV, and malaria. So some of the G7 countries came together to collect funding to be able to fight these diseases. And I think the UK was the only country that was sort of lagging behind. So with that campaign, I went to speak to my MP, and again, he was very warm and receptive as usual. Talked about the campaign, why it was important to me, and why we needed the UK to up their funding. Like their other G7 colleagues, and in at the end of the day, the target, or what we wanted the UK to donate to the fund, was 1.8 billion pounds, but I think it was 1 billion pounds that was donated. Was that the result, or was that the outcome that I wanted, or that we wanted out of the campaign? Absolutely not. But was there still a donation? Of course there was, or there was some sort of funding from there. And report from the FCDO, that's the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office, months later said that the outcome, or should I say, the UK donating that amount of money, was as a result of increased campaigning and advocacy from civil society organizations, including the one campaign, which I'm part of. So you get what I mean, like where that like sort of an impact comes from. It's just a collation of voices, young voices, youth voices, which I'm a part of, and that was just not all. I mean, I before that, and even in that campaign, I was able to, a journalist, so my MP again being supportive, he tweeted about my meeting with him on his Twitter, and a journalist from my city where I used to live in Leeds reached out, and I shared my journey to become a change towards becoming a change maker with him, and it was published in my local newspaper, and ultimately I also won an award for that. So it's just to say that if you say volunteering doesn't create real impact, or if someone said that that is not true, it does create real impact. And it all depends on, again, what you identify as impact. Because if, like Lemona said, at the end of the day, if even one person's life is changed, that is impact. If through your voice, through your work, a young girl is not married off, and she's able to go to school, she's able to gain skills, she's able to gain, a certificate, a qualification, that is a change that you've created. That is impact that you've made. So I mean, you may not even know that you've created change, but you need to, if saying that volunteering doesn't create real impact is not true, because from my experience, it has created real impact. It hasn't, maybe all the outcomes have not been as I wanted, but it has created an impact in its own way. And is the work of nonprofits only. Like I said, it's not just the work of established nonprofits to make an impact, or to create change in our societies. As individuals, as people, we may have other passions, like maybe you work in finance, you work in corporate, you work in advertising, marketing, wherever it is that you work, but you live in a society, you live in a community, you live with people, and people have problems. Society will always have problem. There'll always be something that needs to be fixed. And like I said in the very beginning, instead of waiting for the government, sometimes people can come together, and that people coming together maybe may start from you, or you may be like the person who would lead that change or be even a part of that change. So it's not only because non-profits, there are lots of non-profits, NGOs, what have you, but they they all can do the job. We all need to be on board, because again, this is a matter of the society we live in, the world that we're living in, which at the moment there are lots of things happening. But then as community leaders, as change makers, it is our responsibility to make sure that we can also do something to create the world, or to create the community, the society that we want to live in. We want our children, our future generations to live in as well. And there's a lot of time needed to volunteer or drive social change. Um, Again, all these, should I say, if you allow these to sort of get into your head, it will, because they can be valid excuses if you're not ready to take the first step, or to actually do the work. But if you have identified a need, or a need to create like a sort of impact in your community, you don't need a lot of time. So again, coming back to the point I made about UN volunteers, UN online volunteers. So when I was doing that, I remember sometimes I probably need to do maybe 3 or 4 hours of work per week. So that was, I mean, obviously depending on the arrangement that I had with the organization. So sometimes that could be maybe twice a week, maybe even once a week, because 3 4 hours, it doesn't have to be like 4 days a week. So that depends, obviously, the agreement you have. But with something like that, it's not necessarily a lot of time. Again, it also comes back to how you can plan your time well to make sure that that fits within your schedule. And even with the work that I was doing, as I mean, when I was doing in person, like impact work, like volunteering with the One Campaign, with Christian Aid, with Amnesty, etc., that took some amount of my time. But again, because I was passionate about it, I didn't see as a lot of time, because I knew what I was looking for. I was on a mission. I knew what I wanted out of it. And once I was able to get everything and more out of what I did, then I was able to use that experience and skills to start GAN. So even if, let's say you're currently maybe in university, you have lectures, you have some free time, and that free time you can do volunteer work, you can do impact work. Again, like I said, it all boils down to time management, how you're able to manage your time. So there's obviously time for everything. There's time to study, there's time to do your courseworks, and write exams, do all that as a student. But then the free time that you have, maybe weekends, you can do some volunteer work. It doesn't have to be 10 hours, it can be 3 hours. It's still important work. So just thinking about how you can obviously manage your time well to drive social change. It is not rewarding. um it depends on your definition of rewarding. If your definition of rewarding is money, like I said again, you won't become a millionaire by doing social impact work. But rewarding in terms of the lives that you're changing with the work that you're doing, with the voice that you're using, the blog post, or the piece that you wrote to bring awareness about whatever issue or topic, or whatever challenge that is, that maybe you're facing your community, with the voices that you're platforming, like we're doing at GAN. All that is rewarding in its end, because you are bringing attention to a problem, you're bringing attention to something that needs to change. You're being involved in the change process. So if we are talking about rewarding in terms of money, then yeah, it is not rewarding. But we are talking about the impact that we are making long term. It could even be short term. It is still important, where it is rewarding, because we're talking about lives being influenced positively, our society maybe bringing awareness to something that is happening, that needs, like, obviously to be brought to the media's attention, because we all know sometimes the media can be a bit tricky, maybe maximizing what doesn't need to be maximized, or platforming things that do not really add value to us as a society. So instead of maybe waiting for the media, you can also start a blog post, write about it, tweet about it. There's one Ghanaian actress who started a whole protest or movement about the inadequate power supply in the country back in 2015 or so. I mean, she is popular. She's a celebrity, but she still tweeted about something, and because a lot of people could resonate with it, the thing just blew up, and then it started a whole protest because people were fed up. People wanted that thing or that problem to be fixed. So I mean, by adding their voices to that sort of simple tweet, by retweeting, by sharing their comments, they were able to make a whole sort of like protest out of it, and they were able to challenge the then government to fix the problem, and it was fixed, well, to one extent at that time. So rewarding again, if you're looking at it from like the number of lives influenced, the impact that you're going to make, the short, long term, the experience, the skills. And I always I'm always invested in experiences because I think there are things that will stay with you forever. There are campaigns that I've added my voice to, have worked on. There are people that I've met, the things that I've done in this impact space, and nobody can take it away from me because it's part of me forever. So I think one thing that has really, I'll say, has stood out for me in this work for the past nine years now, since 2017, is the experiences, because I can look back and say, oh, remember this time when I did this time when we went to parliament to campaign for so and so issue, when I wrote this piece for my local newspaper, when I met my MP to talk about this, when all those kind of things. It's something that it's rewarding because the rewarding aspect is in the experience itself. And last but not the least, it is not the responsibility of the common masses. Then whose responsibility is it? Because then again, we live in a society, and we are mostly affect the things that we sometimes spend hours and hours complaining about on social media is affecting us. Obviously, that is why we are complaining about it. So moving from the complaints, most of these things is the responsibility of the people that we've elected in power. But we all know that sometimes these people may not necessarily care about us, or they are not in tune with us, so they are not experiencing some of the problems that we are experiencing. So what do we then do? If we can fix it as a society, as a community, then maybe that's the right step, the next step to do, the right next step to take. So yeah, these are some of the myths and misconceptions that some people have about creating impact or social change. I don't know if Lemona, you have anything else to add.
No, I think you have covered everything. And also, I mean, in terms of rewards, people do get press coverage, people do get awards. There's so many awards out there that, we know people win on a regular basis. So it is psychologically, it can be very satisfying. It's very rewarding as well. Okay, so next steps. Um, as the slide says, just do it, just start. Start with what you care about, any challenge that you're living day in and day out. Um, but be strategic. One of the things, um, I guess a very good way to start would be to take a piece of paper and a pen and write down or answer some of the basic questions. How much time do you have that you can commit? What is the issue that you care about the most? Or what is it that's bothering you that you have come across? Or what is that issue that no one's doing anything about, but you keep seeing it happening over and over again? A good place to start would be to make your family, your relatives, your friends aware. So even though it's an informal setting, it's something, and that gives you experience because at the beginning you will feel much more comfortable speaking to your friends and family than speaking to people that you don't know. So that's giving you experience. It also gives you evidence. Then you can share on your social media, you know what, I have done this session, information or awareness session on this challenge. So it gets you started, it gets you some experience. If you are thinking of something and you would like some ideas, Feel free to reach out to mentors. There are mentoring programs. Search online if there are any mentoring programs that resonate with you. If you can't find someone, you know someone that really inspires you, reach out to them. Tell them that you are interested in this, and if you can help them with their work, reach out to organizations and say, can I help out? Because when I came to the UK, I came here to study, and I was looking at organizations, and every organization either wanted me to get, sit with a phone and ask people to donate money, or give out flyers, or sign up for money. And I didn't want to do it because I didn't feel inspired. I wanted to do something that caused real impact. And asking for money didn't really feel like my kind of thing. And you might be in a similar situation. So sometimes you have to be creative on how you can get what you want within the resources that you have. So reach out to people, reach out to organizations and say, can I do this? Can I help you? If there's a leader that really inspires you, reach out to that person and let that person know that you really inspire me. Can I help you? A lot of you will be surprised with people's responses. You have to be incurably positive. And always remember, when you do something, it will help you in one way or the other, through networking, through experience. It will help you. So write the basics on a piece of paper, have a plan, and then go with that. And also, like I said, be strategic, try to be sustainable in your own approach, so that whatever you're doing, even if it is 2 hours in a week, you can continue doing it. You shouldn't be jeopardizing your work or your studies or your family commitments to do something, and then you'll feel unhappy about not being committed to any of it. So be realistic with your plans as well. And sometimes when you have gained some experience, then you understand what is your capacity, and that helps you plan more strategically. And I've mentioned it, we both have mentioned it. If you want to discuss things with us, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help you. Now, as a starting point, I'll also say we have we have webinars where we invite very high profile speakers, and we always ask our guests, how do we reach out to you? And they will share how you can reach out to them. If you watch our videos, you will know how every single of our guest speaker have shared how you can reach out to them, and they're very well connected. That's one thing. If any of them resonate with your work, or you like them, then you can reach out to them and say, you know what, I watched your video and your webinar, and it really inspired me. Can you help me with so and so work, or any opportunity? That's one thing. Every change maker we spotlight, we not only spotlight through our social media channels, we also try to interview every single one of them, so they get a platform to speak about their work. So if you're doing something already, nominate yourself, and we will ask you. If you come across a challenge, write an article. We publish blogs, we publish articles of changemakers. So our website is also a very good starting point for you to get some ideas of what you can do. What else do we do? And yes, the microfund that Gertrude mentioned at the beginning. We selected two winners last year, but this year we want to select more than just two winners, and eventually expand this. So if you're doing a small scale community work and this grant can help you get started, or help you with your expenses, or whatever it is, that's also there. So we also have a number of resources that can help you get started. And just don't hesitate, don't waste time, um, and be fearless. Everyone's out there doing something. You will be very inspired once you enter the zone. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you all there. Gertrude, you want to add anything?
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, I mean, sometimes in this line of work, you can't do it all alone. So you need someone, or you need, someone who is at the same sort of like level of, has the same level of passion or interest like yourself. Collaboration is essential. I think we'll touch on it in the next step, but I just wanted to the next slide. Just wanted to bring you here. If you're thinking, okay, now maybe I think I have an idea of maybe which area of SDG that I want to focus on and all that. Um, Everything that you're doing, it's you need to think carefully about the person you want to bring on your team, because that can make or mar the kind of impact that you want to have. So think about, okay, this is what I want to do. I've found my passion. I've found the area of interest that I want to focus on. Now, who do I bring on board? Who do I? Because the person is like your, should I say, purpose partner, if that makes sense. So, back in 2023, I think around April, May, there, I can't remember the particular month, but it was somewhere around that time when we were both. When I say we were both, Lemona and myself were both on the one campaign. They had another program called the Community Leaders that we were both on. So that was around the same time when I was thinking of ending volunteering activities later on in that year in 2020. Well, at the end of 2024, the following year. So yeah, Lemona reached out to me saying she had this idea and she felt I would be a great addition to it. And mind you, I'd already, wanted always to start my own thing. Like, I've done a lot of like, work for some of these amazing organizations, created a lot of impact, had the opportunity to be in certain incredible spaces, and networked, met a lot of amazing change makers. Now I want to go ahead and also, create something that will also benefit more change makers. And then when she brought this idea, it felt like a good starting point because I felt like it was the right thing to do and it was the right time and then with the right person because, and again, you need to make sure that you are bringing person into whatever you're doing because if not, it's going to it's definitely going to like ruin everything or not create that lasting impact that you want to make. So just be careful of obviously the people that you bring onto the team. And I mean at GAN, the people that we have, we are a small team, but the people that we have on our team, they are dedicated, they are passionate because they are all working on a volunteer basis. So we look out for people who are passionate about our mission and our vision, and thankfully we found those people. And I mean, you don't have to have a lot of people to do the work that we're doing. It's for me or for us. It's more about quality over quantity, and that's what has kept us going in these 2 years, and and still going. So yeah, that's all I wanted to add.
Okay,
Yeah.
moving on. So, okay, I'll start. So, I mean, I think these points are pretty self-explanatory, and I think we have covered most of it. Anyone, and I mean, I think the word change maker or activist sounds very serious, but it can be fun, and anyone can create an impact. You just need to find out what you want to do. What is your purpose? Um, at the beginning, your impact may not create the kind of visibility that you would like to have, but trust the process. It does get you there. And eventually, people start noticing your commitment, your dedication. And also, I think Gertrude has covered many of these points. Don't compare yourself with someone else, especially because everyone's journey is different, everyone's resources, everyone's situations are different. And at the same time, who knows, the person you admire today, you might end up becoming much more impactful than that person. So don't overestimate or underestimate. Just keep going. Believe in yourself, be positive, and believe in the fact that each of our contribution matters and they're needed as well. And I think we have covered it several times that collaboration, meaningful partnership is very important. So identify some good people, some good friends who want to make a change. Go ahead, plan something, start something together. It will give you a great experience. Gayatri, you want to cover the rest?
Yeah, so you don't need to figure everything out and start with what you have. Could be the passion that you have to make, an impact, and just continue to improve yourself whilst you're learning on it, because the experience will come, the opportunities will come. You just obviously have to start with what you have, what you've identified as your interest area, what you've identified as the problem that needs to be fixed. And then once you start out with them, the people that you're bringing on the team, the maybe if you have to fundraise, like how to go about it is you start from within your network and maybe go into the community. So it's just like, again, being bold, being audacious, like just going for it, because this is something that you want to do. So it's just, having that confidence to say, okay, let's start, and then let's see what happens. And it may work, like, again, like it is, there are successful stories, and sometimes they are the not so successful stories, but unfortunately the unsuccessful ones don't really make it out of the media, because we all want to project what is successful. But hey, if you started a project, you put your all in, you brought the right people on the team, sometimes you can do everything right and still not get a desired result. And that is also a good experience to talk about, because it shows that you are an innovator. You thought about a problem, you thought about a situation, a challenge, you preferred solutions, you brought a team together, you created a campaign, and whatever is out of it, and you did it, and it didn't work out. That shows that you're thinking. You're not always waiting for people to do it before you know. You're not always waiting for someone else to start before you lead. So it's just worth thinking about that as well. And using social media as a useful tool. Again, social media is a good tool depending on how you use it. So if there's anybody that you feel like a could be like a mentor, an inspiration, you can follow them. You don't have to meet them in person to be inspired by them. I mean, in this day and age of social media, maybe watch their speeches, read their books if you're an author, read their blog posts or their think pieces, whatever it is that they have out there that you can get out of it. You can get something meaningful, get access to it. If you maybe they are coming to a city, a town near you to speak, or yeah, to be engaged in any activity, and you can attend in person, and just gather those thought, those words of wisdom, and just add it to what you have, and just keep going. And yeah, collaborating strategically, I think I've already mentioned this, and Lemona touched on it. And yeah, use social media as a constructive tool, a useful tool, and not as a destructive tool. I mean, not getting distracted about the nonsense. And yeah, ultimately putting in the work, just like just going forward, like doing, putting in the work, the actual work, and not just like maybe maximizing what you're not doing. Because again, in the bid to maybe become popular on social media, you may just want to say what you're not doing, like maybe you've impacted 30 people, but you say you've impacted 1,000 people, which is not true, which is a lie. So just, again, appreciating where you are, your starting point. It's not always, see, sometimes it's good to impact 10,000 people, but the person who impacted 10,000 people, they started by impacting one person, and they
Mm.
kept on building. So don't be in a haste to, exaggerate or lie, because exaggeration is a lie about the impact you're doing. Just, yeah, start with that one person and go from one, two, three, like that, and then just keep it going. If you're fortunate, or if with the line of the work that you're doing, you impact 100 people, 20, 200 people in your first event or your initiative, kudos. But it's not always like that. It won't always be like that for everyone. So just be mindful that you're not in a haste to become popular, with maybe inflating figures or numbers, just to get awards, or all that kind of thing, because the people have concerns about NGOs or people in the social impact space. But because for some people, they're like, oh, people are just, they are not activists, they are cash activists, they are only interested in the monies that they will say they're using to impact the lives of people. But that's not what they're doing. They're using it for their personal gains. You don't want to be involved in such scandals. So just be mindful that actually do the impact work, do the work that you set out to do, that you are passionate about doing, and let your work speak for itself. I believe in that so much. Let your work always speak for itself. Do not, you don't need to lie, you don't need to, as far as you're passionate, as far as you know what you're doing, it will show in the quality, the caliber of work that you put out there. I'm certain of this because I'm a living testimony. So focus on the work, starts from where you are, put in the work, get the right people on your team, be smart, be strategic about the people you get on the team. And and again, I'll also add is just because an opportunity looks good on paper, it doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you. So also be selective. You may be hungry, young, hungry, passionate, but be very careful also so that you don't end up in places or, in spaces that you do not need to be. Because at the end of the day, you need energies don't lie. It needs to match with the energy that you have. So yeah, I'll just sort of conclude and say that impact workers, we can spend hours and hours talking about this because this is a big topic, but I do hope that with some part of our stories, our personal examples or experiences that we've shared, and with this material that we prepared for you today, you have learned something. It has sparked some sort of interest in you, and it has hopefully answered some of the questions you had. So thank you very much for listening, and yeah, I'll hand it over to you, Lemona. I think we can.
Yeah, so question time. And I think I've noticed people dropping comments or questions in the chat. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen and go to the questions. Okay, thank you, Dauda, for joining us and making your time. I'm just going to see if we have any questions. And we have gone over time, so just conscious that.
Yeah, we did go over time. So yeah, guys, this is the end of the session. So but of course we want to make it
Okay, so
as
I don't think, yeah, I don't think we received questions. Um, yeah, I don't think we received questions, but I'm just going to give maybe like a few seconds for you to ask us anything. If there are no questions, we'll happy to end our first masterclass.
I mean, if comments, anything that you want to add, or if there's anything that you want to ask us personally about our journeys, yeah, just could be anything that you want to know more. So just do feel free to ask us, and we'll be happy to answer. I think there's someone. Yeah, please go ahead. Zwane. I don't know if I got your name right.
You pronounced that perfectly. I'm surprised you didn't say Zwain. Yes, my name is Mpumalanga Zwane and I'm from the Kingdom of Eswatini. And I'm currently working on an advocacy program that looks at statelessness. And one of the more difficult things on the work that we are doing is just how restrictive the civil society space is in the country, and then also working on a topic that can be very sensitive. So then when you were talking about the impact and, being honest about what level of impact you're doing, one of the things that I always think about is how because of the environment we're working in and the topic, how progress is very slow. And so in that way, impact is low. So do you have any experience working in such a space or with such topics? And how would you advise someone to navigate that space and also then report on their impact where it's not like you can say that, oh, we've changed the policy because the policy is taking 50,000 years to change, and yet that's where you're trying to reach. Yeah.
And Lemona, do you wanna go
Yeah,
first?
I'll share. I mean, I completely sympathize with you, and I think it's very common in the time that we exist in. If you look at the conflicts that's happening around the world and with the political changes, and obviously cuts to funding, progress is slow in every sector. I mean, especially in the third sector. In every policy that we're trying to progress, it's very slow. But I will say this to you that safety comes first. We do not recommend you do something that will jeopardize either your existence or your work. Because once again, that can be very, difficult. And I think my personal view is slow progress is still progress. So you just have to keep at it. Now, you can be more strategic because there are some international platforms. For instance, the campaign that I started with, women's ownership and women's property rights, nothing has changed. And the government has tried to reform the law as I would wish them to. And it was men from my community that prevented the government from reforming the law. So I felt betrayed, but it is what it is. And I just have to keep going. So I fully sympathize with you. And there is no easy solution. Uh, but you have to keep going. And sometimes when you speak about it in international platforms, you're shifting your focus from the national level where people might react more, and you are sending that message and making your issue known elsewhere, where the audience or people listening to you might react more and give you more support. That way, networking might help, resources might help. You might come across a way to pressurize the government or policymakers, but at the same time, reality is grim. So keep at it and and stay positive. Gertrude, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I will agree with you. I mean, sometimes obviously when you want like a certain outcome and it's just dragging its feet, it's taking so long, it can be exhausting. I mean, I just can think about in Ghana, like there's a lot of like young people actually advocating, or should I say, yeah, advocating for the end of illegal small scale mining, which is destroying water bodies. And this campaign has been in, I think it's gone on for years now, like 4 or 5 years, if I can remember. And the challenge is that it is alleged that I believe so strongly that some political leaders or some leaders are behind, some of these activities because they are benefiting from it. But I mean, at the same time, these people are these activities are destroying water bodies and are causing, irreparable damage to people's health. So, do we stop talking about it because we've not gotten like the desired result that we need? No. People are still tweeting, people are still using the hashtag, they are protesting. People have gone on streets to do that. And some people were unlawfully arrested in one of the protests, but it has still not stopped people from talking about it. So sometimes change work can be painful, can be difficult, it can be exhausting because why risk my life for something that probably I won't be remembered for in how many years? But it is important to you, it is important to us. That's why we still, do it, irrespective of the challenges that we face, or the silence, the loud silence that we face from the people that are supposed to, act on our behalf. But yeah, we just have to keep on doing the work, unfortunately. I mean, fortunately and unfortunately, yeah, kind of. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, but thank you for that.
So just conscious of time, we're almost getting close to 2 hours. I mean, this message is for Zwani and for everyone who joined us. Document your work because even if it's slow, you get to tell yourself and others that I did what I could. If feminists 50 years ago didn't start their work, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have a voice, or activists in general. So document everything that you're doing so that it's testimony that we are doing what we should have done in that time and space. And yeah, thank you everyone for
Yeah.
joining. Please follow us on our social media platforms. If you have any topic that you would like to write about, do check out our programs. If you're doing great work, nominate yourself, and we'll spotlight your work. And For everyone who stayed till the end, we will issue a certificate of attendance. Gertrude?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to add to what you said. I mean, we would have loved, I mean, I'm not sure, but I really wanted more questions. Like, yeah. But then I mean, hey, if you don't have any questions, like, yeah, like Lemona has said, please follow our socials. We are active on all social media platforms. We have a YouTube channel where all our webinars are. So the webinars that we started having from 2024 till date, they are all there. We have had the privilege to have amazing SDG experts, professionals. So there's definitely something in for everyone. Our Twitter spaces that we hold on a bi-weekly basis, they're also on our Spotify channel or podcast, Global Activists Network. So please do follow us there as well and listen to the amazing changemakers that we've engaged since 2024. And yeah, it has been a great 7 8 years, almost 9 years journey for me, and for Lemona, I'm sure more than that. Yeah, what she said at the end, it's very important you document your journey. It is important because you can look back and see where you're coming from and appreciate every single step of the journey, because I believe many people are, when they're starting out, they want to, quickly get to the destination without appreciating the journey. Just like obviously our lives are journeys from, being born, childhood, teenage years, adulthood to old age. Whatever impact work that you're doing, whatever, initiative that you want to you set out to do, it is a journey that you're about to start. So you need to give yourself that grace. You need to give yourself that chance to learn, fail forward, make mistakes, gather the skills, the experience that you need, and be able to like just learn as you go. And it will be fine. You will be fine. You will make mistakes like every human being does, but that is the essence of the work that you're doing. And yeah, just document your journey so that when you get to wherever you want to be, then you can look back and be proud of yourself or where you came from, because you probably thought like you never be able to get to where you are, but here you are now, and you'll be able to be a mentor, give advice, support to other change makers that are also starting out and may also look up to you. So yeah, that would be my final, or should I say, closing message. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure, and we will send out the feedback form after this session. So if there's any other topics that you'd like us to do another masterclass on, or any other person that you want us to maybe have on to deliver a masterclass, please let us know. And like Lemona said, yes, certificates will be emailed to those of you who stayed to the end and engaged. We really appreciate, and we do look forward to seeing you on our webinars, our Twitter spaces, or on another masterclass. Thank you, and have a good evening, and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.